All right, welcome back to the Beast Game Podcast, and this is going to be a review for BlacKkKlansman. It's directed by Spike Lee. The writers are Charlie Wacho and David Rabinowitz. It's also written by Spike Lee, and it's based on a book by the real-life Ron Stallworth. It stars John David Washington, who is Denzel Washington's son. You can find him on Ballers, Adam Driver, and Michael Buscemi, who is the brother of Steve Buscemi. And the synopsis is, Ron Stallworth, an African-American police officer from Colorado, successfully managed to infiltrate the local Ku Klux Klan and become the head of its local chapter. The movie starts off, don't know if it was a PSA about racism starring Alec Baldwin. It goes on from there to show John David Washington attempting to get a job with the Colorado police in his town. It's Colorado Springs, I believe. They ask him why he wants to be a police officer. When he does get the job, they put him into the records room. He has some racial encounters there. And then he asks to be put on undercover detail. So the transition of time from that scene to the next scene doesn't make sense. So it's like maybe a couple weeks go by and he's asking to be put on undercover detail in a small town where people might recognize him anyway. His higher ups agree to his request. He's asked to attend and infiltrate a Black Panther Party meeting where Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture, is speaking. So once he does that, he actually meets the head of the Black Panther Party, or the student movement, who was played by Laura Harrier. They start to develop a relationship even though he's undercover. And then from there, I think he gets put on a special detail, really high intelligence detail. And for one reason or another, he decides to call the Ku Klux Klan number in his town, starts speaking with the person that picks up the phone, portraying himself to be a Caucasian person. They ask to meet him, so he uses his partner, Adam Driver, to be him. It starts to get a little weird from there, but that's the gist of it. Again, he's trying to portray himself as a Caucasian person, and just using Adam Driver as the real life version of him. That's kind of where we'll stop. So I'm going to get this out the way. I like Spike Lee a lot. I am the person that went to go see 2013's Old Boy remake of a Korean classic that Spike Lee had done with Josh Brolin. And I was one of only 5 people in the movie theater. That is me. I went to go see Chirac. That is me. I remember I had also went to go see Miracle at St. Anna, NBA 2K16. I played that, and that was a Spike Lee joint. As a director, I appreciate Spike Lee. He challenges himself sometimes, but lately he's been a little off-kilter as the quality of his movies aren't as good as his earlier body of work. And that's really all I can say about it. I think from a directorial standpoint, this movie should have been a lot better. What the trailer kind of shows is a comedy movie, but it really is not that, because tonally this movie is all over the place. So at some point it is that maybe Tarantino-esque comedy, and then other times it's this exhibition of Spike Lee's earlier work. So there's maybe elements of Do the Right Thing or elements of Malcolm X, and then some of his classic camera shots. The arc of the story for this is not very good. Because it's based off a book, I'm not sure what liberties they were able to do, but if you take this movie as a comedy, it's not a very good movie. If you take this movie as maybe some current world politics, it's not as good as it should be. My issue is going to be with some of the people that are going to go see this movie for the wrong reasons. A couple years ago when Spike Lee put out Chirac, those same people were probably clowning him and now probably giving him applause and praise. You're kind of a hypocrite at that point. So John David Washington does not look like his father very much, but the voice that he's doing in the movie sounds just like Denzel Washington. Even when he's trying to change his voice, kind of going between his normal speech and like whatever speech he might be putting on as a phone call as to disguise his voice, it's not changing very much. You sound like Denzel Washington. I think his acting is okay for what he's asked to do. And again, he's pretty good on Ballers. Adam Driver, Kylo Ren, same thing. They're doing okay, but what lets the story down is the writing. Again, tonally, the movie tries to go off in a comedy direction. It's not witty enough to do that. And then it tries to be a drama, and it's not good enough to do that. And then it tries to be this socially conscious movie, and it doesn't really do that very well. I will say that it's shot pretty good, but there's also elements of handheld work where they just should not be. Here's a shot, and then all of a sudden it just turns handheld for some random reason. Like, why Spike Lee? I'm not sure. And then the build up to the end of the movie just happens so abruptly that it just does not flow well. And then you have to go into one of Spike Lee's classic shots, kind of that POV. The camera's pointing at me just at the end of the movie. I was waiting for it, and it happened directly at the end of the movie. I want to like this movie more than I did, but Spike Lee needs to have maybe somebody else creatively that he can trust to make some decisions to make his movies better. Chirac should not have been a musical. Why? I don't know. It's just, this movie just bounces around way too much. It doesn't really do one thing well enough. So for that, I'm going to give it a 4.5. I would maybe want to see a director's cut of this. Maybe it might fill in some things. I don't know, but 4.5, and that's the Beast Game Podcast.